So you've had experiences that were like mine, momentary, wow, and then you had another one that lasted 2 weeks,
Yes.
right? Okay. Let's start. Just describe, if you would, what happened with one of those wows.
The most dramatic one was I was in a cell phone store 10 years ago, about. Cell phones were pretty new, and everybody in the store was stressed, and the salespeople were very can't tell you why. Maybe that word painful isn't the right word. It was just so startling.
There wasn't any pain
No.
at this point.
That
Okay.
was...
So let's get behind that some more, if I can. And it's been a while since that. So if you can't answer the question, you can't answer it. But I'm going to ask you questions you've probably never been asked before. Okay.
Yeah.
In that state, would you say there was only love, or is there something else?
There was only love.
Okay.
There was
Was there
only
any
love.
time?
No.
Let me ask you this question. Some people will say to me, well, Gary, I don't really want to get into this state of consistent bliss all the time because that's boring. How would you answer that?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I get it with some frequency.
It's interesting to me personally because I wonder why I don't chase a return to that state more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it might be because I think life is really interesting the way it is now.
We're going to discuss the why of that later, but I thought I would pose the question now. Okay.
It's a good question.
Yeah. But I will say one thing. In my experience, boring would not even be in the vocabulary because, see, boring has to do with time. You're only bored over time. In that experience, there is no time. And therefore, you can't get bored with something that just keeps going on and on in time. It doesn't happen. It's a very strange, very difficult thing to communicate because there aren't really words for it or concepts, or people don't have in their belief system anything to hang it on. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. But let me ask you this: in that state, would something like disease be possible? Well, you said that pretty quickly.
Well, it was perfect. I mean, I've been there maybe 8 times, flipped. Once 2 weeks. The others were just brief. It was, I'll tell you what, if somebody had a disease, I would not have been able to register it. I know that. They were perfect.
Yeah.
I could only register the perfection. I don't know what another reality might say it was. But I could only see perfect.
Okay. The words that I would use, I don't use the words I could only see perfect. It was just like there was only this love. There wasn't anybody else in it, by the way. You know, there was just this oneness. There was, you could not have separation of any kind. It was just not possible, you know. And it would be impossible, and give me your thoughts on this, in my experience, to have a conversation with regarding trauma, death, war, poverty. I mean, it's
insane. I think I told you I was walking along with somebody else I know who was in that state in the moment I was walking along, and I said to her, "Talk to me about death." And she walked a couple blocks before she actually said anything because she was trying to think about what to say. Finally, she said, "Well, nothing's coming up. I guess there is no such thing." And she was also in this state. So,
well, we're going to discuss the fact that even though it certainly appears that way in our sensory world, at another level there is no such thing. Yeah. There is no birth either. Very strange. Very hard to get our heads around all this. And I'm sowing seeds here, but we're going to get deeper and deeper and deeper into this. And I know I'm being very thorough in doing this because I want to make sure we cover as many bases as we can as we get deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, you also had a rather fun experience for 2 weeks.
I did.
This is what I want to. I'm jealous. I'm absolutely jealous. Okay.
It's so amazing.
But anyway, fire away. Go ahead.
I had just been rebirthed, but I'd been rebirthed twice, so I can't say the rebirthing was the reason. But the first time I was rebirthed, I came out of it feeling so disoriented that I felt like I was in someone else's body. Like I wasn't myself. I said to somebody, "Am I in the same body in which I came here?" And she said, "Yes." And that was a legitimate question for me. It was also new. So this lasted 2 solid weeks. I could not register anything but joy. Nothing. I tried. I remembered the word upset. I think I told you. And it had no meaning. I couldn't think, what was that?
Well, you were telling me when I was talking to you before about this, that people would be so serious about things.
Yeah.
You know, about life and the things they had to do in their list of things, and the traumas and the this and that, and who did what to whom and all that stuff.
Right.
And it was just a big giggle.
It was so funny.
Why are you so serious?
Why are you so serious? Exactly. Yeah, that was it.
Okay. So were other people seeing you think you were in La La Land and you'd flipped out?
I don't think anyone knew. I don't know. I was just living in this thing, and I didn't know what it was, where it came from. I didn't know what I had, basically. And so I was just living my life, and I would realize somehow that people thought there wasn't enough time or there wasn't enough money or something like that, and I think, isn't that strange? I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all.
Because in the other state, everything is taken care of.
It was all perfect. There was enough of everything, just at the right time. There was enough time and money and everything anybody could possibly want.
And I asked you this before. How did you function in the world?
I functioned I just went about my business. We were moving. I had 2 children, I had dogs. I did what I always do, but it wasn't in that intense love thing. Everything was love, but it was it was more ecstatically joyful, ecstatically happy, not impossible to imagine a shortage or a negative moment.
Okay. I think you said to me also, and in fact I asked you this a little bit earlier today off camera, that during this 2-week time you had little or no sleep and little or no food.
That's right. I forgot about those things. I did.
Well, okay, but let's talk about that for a minute, because that's weird, or whatever you want to call it, because we're supposed to, eat so much every day and sleep or otherwise, but you didn't miss it?
After it was over, I kind of realized I was just awake all the time and I wasn't eating. I didn't notice it in the moment. It just didn't seem to be interesting, or I don't know what, necessary.
Or important or
important.
necessary.
Just nothing was lacking, so why would I search?
Well, my way of thinking, and I haven't had your experience, I've only had mine, okay? My way of thinking is you had one foot in both realms at that point, okay? But in the other realm, the wow realm, if you will, you don't need food. And there is no body to feed. Who needs it?
That's right. That's right.
You don't need any money. What would you spend money on?
That's right.
I mean, there's no politicians or anything, or government, 'cause what is there to govern,
Yeah, I had that as well.